Giving WJSN an anniversary album. From the very beginning, their identity has been written in the stars. Their music lives amongst the constellations, orbiting around us as dreamlike melodies flood our ears and a sense of harmony fills our hearts. Drifting through space and time to get to us, this is WJSN. Alright, second time's the charm. Hey guys, another dramatic intro for the books. As you can tell by the title of this video, today I'm going to be giving WJSN an anniversary album. Originally, I was going to add "Cause Starship Won't," but while I was curating the songs for this video, I saw a post that apparently they're going to have a comeback. So while I'm crossing my fingers that they do, I pushed this video up in my production schedule so that I could get it up before anything is officially announced and without being influenced by anything else. Originally, this video was going to be a few parts. The main album for the group, as well as mini albums for their subunits, WJSN The Black and WJSN Chokomi, plus debuting a new subunit with Yeonjung and Dawon. Because I'm pushing this video forward, it's just the anniversary album, but if this video does well, or if you guys want a part 2 with these albums, I can move some things around and get that to you sooner. Regardless, it's coming eventually. I also wanted to quickly apologize for my absence. I made a community post about it, but in case you missed it and my previous one, I started back up at work again, so I'm much more busy than I was the last few months of 2025 leading into 2026. Add to that, I was really busy with preparing for and running my annual Valentine's Day bake sale, as well as hosting a sort of galentine's for my friends. I had every intention of trying to get this out around the 9th before I got consumed by orders and planning, but clearly I was unsuccessful. But regardless, here we are, so let's get into it. Who are WJSN? If you clicked on this video, odds are you're at least familiar with the group. But in case you're not, or just need a refresher, WJSN, also known as Cosmic Girls, debuted in 2016 as a collaboration between Starship Entertainment and Yuehua Entertainment. From day one, their identity was rooted in the cosmos. Think astrology, constellations, and celestial mythology, with each member representing a different star sign. That's a whole separate controversy I could get into in a much more in-depth retrospective of the group. It wasn't just a visual gimmick or a one-era concept, it was a fully realized universe that shaped how the group presented itself and their music. Sonically, WJSN quickly carved out a sound that felt both grand and intimate. Their early releases leaned heavily into lush synths, layered vocals, and emotional melodies that felt dreamy and slightly melancholic. Songs like Secret, I Wish, and Dreams Come True established them as a group more interested in atmosphere and storytelling rather than chasing whatever was dominating the charts at the time. To me, their music often felt less like something you casually listened to and more like an experience or something you stepped into. As their career progressed, WJSN evolved without losing that core identity. Tracks like Save Me Save You, As You Wish refined their signature sound, balancing elegance with emotional weight and further solidified their place as one of K-pop's most conceptually cohesive girl groups. Later releases such as Neverland, Unnatural, and Sequence showcased their evolution and maturity, sonically bolder, more confident, and more self-assured, while still carrying that unmistakable WJSN atmosphere. While they may not always be at the center of mainstream K-pop conversations, their strength has always been consistency and intention. Their discography tells a story of growth, restraint, and identity, one that rewards long-term listeners and fans who value cohesion over constant reinvention. In an industry that cycles acts quickly, WJSN built something more enduring, a sound and image that feels timeless, immersive, and unmistakably their own. However, this wasn't without their struggles. Members leaving without official announcement, periods of time with no release, and possibly worst of all, stopping support for the group right after their biggest commercial release. I love this group with my whole heart, and it pains me to see the way their momentum was shot and thrown away by Starship. So this project for me is a labor of love and my way to try to give the girls what they deserve. Thought process walkthrough. For this album, I wanted it to be true to their original space concept while also maintaining the maturity their more recent releases have had. Given that it's their 10-year anniversary, I also wanted to honor the Chinese members that are no longer officially part of the group. I don't pretend for them to be brought back, but in a perfect world, they'd participate or at least show up in the title track. Because of this, the album is 13 songs long, making this their longest project. Hypothetically, of course. But I'm getting ahead of myself. To give you some insight into my thought process, I wanted the album to really lean into more horns, guitar, and dreamy production. I was picturing sunsets, late night drives, stargazing, wishes, something that really felt worthy of celebration. I tried to curate something cohesive without being too samey, but you guys can be the judge of that. Now, important context. As I continue to expand my boy group sonic palette, I found a few songs that I felt worked for this project, so just under half of the songs are boy groups. Some of you might like that, some of you might not, but obviously, think of it more as a mood board or sampler rather than concrete songs. Some of the lyrics don't necessarily reflect the album idea I have. So officially, let's get into the video. Orbiting around us for years without a set destination, longing for the chance to shine again. Music has evolved and changed, and now, more than ever, we need a sign from the cosmos to guide us. From the very first note, there's a sense of ceremony, like something ancient and luminous is being unveiled. As the instrumentation glides in, echoing through layers of dreamy production that feel suspended in space, a light emerged in the vast nothingness, rushing toward us like a shooting star when all hope was lost. After almost 4 long years, they have returned to guide us through the constellations and galaxies once more, presenting us with Celestial. Two dramatic intros in one video? Yup. I wanted to be able to preface the album explanation with an intro that felt grand. So, sorry if it's a little too dramatic. Regardless, that was the first snippet of the album. But before we talk about that, let me present to you the album cover I made. Since the whole concept was sort of them flying through space and the stars to guide us again, I knew I wanted the cover to be set in space. Since the group's logo was already a planet, I thought it would fit right in. Talking more about the design, I altered the planet logo to include 2 rings instead of 1 to signify a few things. Them coming back after a while, this being their second studio album, and hopefully, even though I know it's unlikely, them returning for a second prime. The planet itself is purple, blue, and pink, shaded in a way that made it look quote-unquote 3D. I tried my best to draw it because I didn't want to just use a picture and I really wanted to make it from scratch. I can share my Procreate time-lapse in a short if you guys are interested in that. The only thing I don't have footage of is the font selection because I did that on Canva, but I could still show you what I chose. Now, hindsight is 2020. I wish I would have stuck with my original concept for the album art featuring their original colors. The planet being their peach color, the background the navy, and the rings using the silver glitter. But if I'm being transparent, I couldn't really figure out the glitter in a way I was satisfied with, and I also felt I didn't do the contrast justice. But if it were to be officially released, I'd like it to feature their colors. Now, let's talk about the songs themselves. As you heard in the little clip I played, we open with Shiny's Kind off of their 7th studio album, Don't Call Me, released in 2021. What initially drew me to the song was the opening. The way the vocals were sort of distorted and layered really screamed intro to me, especially since the instrumentation takes a little bit to come in. It also really helps that in this case, the lyrics do sort of fit the concept of the album. I really wanted the first song to feel like a message to fans who have stuck by them, a thank you of sorts, and I feel this song lyrically and sonically fit that pretty well. Throughout the album as a whole, I really wanted to paint a story and sort of take you on a journey through the songs, not just have each play after the other. So now, we move on to the title track. Being fully honest, I'm not 100% sold on this being the title track. Like, I love the song, and I feel like I was able to tie it into the project successfully, but I don't know if it screams title track as much as I wanted it to. Which could be a good thing, because it means the other songs are equally as good. Anyways, serving as our title track, we have Straight Line by Kepler off their first Japanese studio album, Kept One Going, released in 2024. Now that I think about it, I don't know if I've ever expressed how much I love this song. It's much more mature and features guitars and horns, and there's just a different vibe to it I can't explain. Why did I pick this as the title track? Well, I wanted it to be a bit bolder and impactful because even though I love nostalgia, I feel that other 10-year anniversary releases, they've all been a certain degree of sappy. I wanted this to feel like a triumphant return, not a sad last hurrah. Plus, I really like that the song has both good vocal moments as well as rap sections so each member could shine. One of the drawbacks, however, is the runtime. It's not even 3 minutes. So how am I gonna have 10, let alone 13 girls sing on it relatively equally? It's just not happening. But thankfully, this is hypothetical. Returning to the song, I feel the instrumentation lends itself to good choreography and could give them a few standout moments. I'm even open to them extending the song with a dance break or reworking it to have a more impactful bridge. We can workshop this for sure. But overall, I wanted this to set the scene and really set them up for something grand. Up next, we have Night Aviation, The Interpretation of Dreams, by GWSN off their third mini-album, The Park in the Night Part 3, released in 2019. Honestly, this one is mostly just vibes. The lyrics do talk about dreaming and specifically what happens in their dreams, so that could be a fit thematically, but I feel like they're leaning more towards the whimsical side of dreams and not the ethereal, more elegant kind that I'm picturing. However, the instrumental eats. From the beginning of the song, I feel it does an amazing job of transporting you into a fantasy. Their vocal delivery really does a lot of heavy lifting as well as the production. I debated whether or not to assign this one as a pre-release or single, and I didn't reach a conclusion. I could see this one becoming a fan favorite, and it's definitely one of mine. So maybe in this world, they release it as a sort of fan requested video shot by the members, or since Starship has money now, maybe we get this as like a surprise MV closer to the end of the promotional cycle. Talking about some improvements or changes I would make to the song, I would love the climax to be divided amongst the vocal line, with the high note being shared either amongst the three of them, or Yeonjung and Dawon while Subin does the final chorus. Sort of like Twice as I Can't Stop Me. And speaking of which, I would not be opposed to them doing a sort of vocal battle at the end of the song, really elevating it to be worthy of being a single or even being a double or triple title track? I don't know. This would be the second or third title track, but timeline wise, I would have this one function as a pre-release as well. So, if you couldn't tell, this is Take Me Home by ATEEZ off their 2021 mini-album Zero Fever Part 2. For the purposes of the playlist and this video, I'm choosing the Korean version, but if we wanted to make them more globally appealing, or they simply wanted to capitalize off of Dayeon's solo success, they could do the English version, which, honestly, I'm leaning more towards that since I want this to be an event. However, the lyrics would have to be changed. I don't necessarily hate the message, but the way some of the words in the English version are sung really hurt the original's cadence. So again, it's something we can workshop. As for the positives, I once again love that they have room for rap and vocals to shine. But the star for me is definitely the instrumental. With how grand it feels, I can definitely picture it being another fan favorite. However, the thing that made me fall in love with it in particular was the saxophone instrumental at the end. That outro is just beautiful and it truly captures everything I was envisioning. I can picture them just driving into the sunset. Think the car scene from Love Dive, but they're driving into the sun. Changing up the pace, we have our first slower song. This next track is 24/7 by 17 off their third studio album, An Ode, released in 2019. I felt like after such a big ending in the last song, we needed to change it up a bit. Something a little more acoustic and sentimental to come off such a high. Unlike the original though, I don't intend for this one to be a subunit song. Lyrically, this one does fit the whole dream vibe. It talks about dreaming only of this person and searching for them 24/7. Beautiful message aside, I chose this song more for its laid-back atmosphere and talk singing sections that could be reworked into a rap. I don't really have much to say for this one since it does function mostly as quote-unquote filler. Not saying that it doesn't deserve its spot in the album, but it's mostly there to flesh out the soundscape and cover a wider range of vibes, I guess. Originally, this was also meant to be the end of Side A to the album, but I didn't end up going that route. Up next, we have Groove by EXO off their 6th studio album Obsession, released in 2019. Are we noticing a pattern? I really loved 2019 K-pop. Anyways, building on the last thing I said about 24/7, this song was supposed to be a transition between sections in the album. Initially, I had this marked as an interlude, but as I kept listening to the album to really get a feel for it, I just let it play fully and got used to it. That ultimately helped in me deciding to move away from distinct sections and more into one general body of work. What drew me to the song was the intro and verses. I like how they feel suspenseful, almost like they're building up to something. The tropical atmosphere also really helped sell this for me. However, there wasn't really another similar element on the album to tie it together. So in many ways, this one is sort of an outlier, but I also really do like that about it. What ties it in are the distorted vocals in the second half of the song. It functions as a sort of callback to the intro. I also wanted it to feel like this song was purposefully out of place as it was transitioning and morphing before our ears into something different. Now, talking about what I would change, hands down it has to be the chorus. While I like it, it's definitely 2019. I'm not clear on how I'd change or restructure it, all I know is that I would. However, I would still keep the instrumental break towards the end of the song. Maybe not 100% as is, but the idea of it for sure is great, especially followed by all the vocals we get. Similar to 24/7, I wanted the next song to dial it back in terms of intensity and turn up the moodiness. We have Moonstruck by ENHYPEN off their 2nd studio album, Romance Untold, released in 2024. From the moment I set out to make this album, I knew I wanted to include this song. It's definitely one of my favorites, and I just feel it would fit the girls so well. Plus, the instrumental really gives night sky to me. I can almost imagine them roaming space or flying through the galaxies. In terms of rollout and structure, this song is fighting with Night Aviation for that 3rd title track spot simply because I love it so much. What's holding me back is the length and structure of the song. Night Aviation is only 20-ish seconds longer, but structurally it feels more complete. Moonstruck is amazing, but I wish we got more. So talking about changes I would make, first off, I'd make it longer, add a bridge, and bring the high notes more to the forefront. Like, can you imagine Youngjung just eating these up? Wow. Lyrically, I feel this one fits right in both with the album, but also with their general discography and vibe, so the tweaks would only have to be minimal. Maybe swapping out the moon motif for stars or planets. Again, I don't really have time to get too deep into it, all I know is that the vibe would eat. You knew Twice had to make an appearance. So for this one, I included Basics off their 11th mini album Between 1 and 2, released in 2022. Are there other Twice songs that could work? Yes, some of my favorites actually. But for this one, I like that it felt more refreshing and clean rather than something a bit more elaborated on the production side. This one lyrically doesn't really tie into the theming, so it's mostly just vibes. I love the intro harmonies and the way they sing in unison at times, something that, in this case, would be a callback to WJSN's earlier works. Add to that, I really love the extended rap sections, so Ekshi and Bona could tag team it. In general, think of this as a sort of palate cleanser before more conceptual songs. If you didn't see Twice coming, you definitely should have seen this one. Up next, we have Red Velvet's Will I Ever See You Again off their 3rd studio album Chill Kill, released in 2023. After the palette cleanse, I wanted to continue the sort of moody vibe from Moonstruck, but make it a bit more space-like. Enter this song. The instrumental on the verses is a bit empty and echoey, which works great for my vision. I'm quite literally imagining the vast dark nothingness of space, with flashes of bright colors during the chorus. The lyrics briefly mention a dream, but for this one, I feel the vocals and instrumental get the point across. I don't have anything specific thematically I want them to cover here, so really, this is a free spot to broaden the topics covered on the album. But if we were to use the title as a guide, it could be interesting to see a song talking about a final bow of sorts or the uncertainty of a relationship. In this case, we could interpret it as an uncertainty in their career. Just some food for thought, even though I don't want this to be the end of their career for them, please. Time for our first duplicate artist. we have 17 with I Wish off their 7th mini-album, Hengare, released in 2020. From the title alone, you might assume why I included it. But when I read the lyrics, and maybe it's a translation error, but this is a gay heartbreak song? At least that's what I gathered from it. Its inclusion mainly boils down to the instrumental fitting in with the previous entries, as well as just being a great song. I love the little instrumental break, plus the falsetto notes really gave it that additional push it needed. I'm definitely intrigued by the idea of the girls including a sad or bitter sapphic heartbreak song on the album. It doesn't necessarily have to be this one, but conceptually, it's not something I'm against. If anything, it would help broaden the topics discussed in the album. Our second double dipper. We have Kepler's Dreams off their 3rd mini-album, Troubleshooter, released in 2022. I honestly had to stop myself from including more of their songs. Because both groups share a similar space concept, they have a lot of songs that would fit. I chose Dreams because of how ethereal it feels, but I could easily swap it out with Downtown or include it in a sort of deluxe version or repackage. Returning to the track at hand, Dreams fits in with little to no change. The lyrics talk about getting lost in this person, growing dizzy and intoxicated with love for them. The production is space-like and dreamy, for lack of a better word, but I can't say I'm surprised. During my research, I found that this song was produced by members of Full Bloom, a production team that has worked on quite a few songs for WJSN in the past. So this one fitting right in wasn't a coincidence. Plus, it has vocal moments, rap. What else could I want? Up next, we have Overdrive by Vivis off their 3rd mini-album, Various, released in 2023. Similarly to Dreams, this song could be swapped out with another one from the same album, being So Special. But I could also include that one in the Hypothetical Deluxe or repackage. Ultimately, Overdrive was chosen for its more city pop elements that I felt meshed better with the tracklist so far. Besides being an easy listen, I feel it's a good way to start winding the project down without losing too much momentum. The song is still very danceable, and the runtime helps extend this feeling of levitation or being carefree it has. The lyrics also call back to that driving into the sunset feeling I mentioned with Take Me Home, except this time they're driving into the blue. I love the imagery it has, so that's something I definitely keep in the song. Obviously, tweaking the lyrics to better fit the narrative the album has. I also really like the ending of it. It's a bit abrupt, but I think it works to snap you right back to reality before the final track. Final song and third double dipper, we have Last Drop from Red Velvet's 7th mini-album Cosmic, released in 2024. This was another song I knew I had to include. From the intro to the end of the song, I'm just captured by it. The opening harmonies just lure you in and keep you there. Truthfully, this is another one I wouldn't change much of. This song is also competing with Night Aviation for the spot of final MV. The lyrics serve the purpose of a closing track for this album, but also sort of as a wrap up to their career if you choose to look at it like that. So if that's the case, I would release this as the final MV before the era is over and fill it with callbacks to their earlier work. Just like the previous song, this one has vocals, talk singing, harmonies, high notes, everything I love and would want for this album. With this song specifically, there's a sense of sadness throughout. That feeling was very important for me to be conveyed on the album because we don't know when or if we'd get another one. So there you have it. That was Celestial. Hopefully I was able to do them justice with my song choices, but you guys can let me know. Also, I really hope I was able to articulate and explain why each song was here and the role that they play on the album. For your convenience, I made the songs into a playlist both on YouTube and Apple Music. The YouTube one doesn't always have the official audios because I got a bit lazy, but it still works. Also for your listening pleasure, after the outro, I'm gonna add an uninterrupted section that would work as an official sampler of the album. So, thank you guys so very much for watching and for letting me do this passion project. Remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Click that bell icon so you're notified every time I post a video. Tell me in the comments, do you agree with my choices or do you feel I should have done some things differently? My next video should be out relatively soon as it's an album review. But yeah, remember that I love you all so much and I'll see you hopefully very, very soon. I hope you enjoy the sampler. Bye!
시간 속 너였던 너 그 시간 속 나였던 너 모든 빈칸 계절을 지나 너라는 답을 찾은 나 너의 기억은 우주가 멈출 때 하늘 위 깃털처럼 날아 여백 없이 너로 채워지는 것 같아 설명할 수 없는 그런 See you again. See you again. 넌 나의 꿈을 보고 있어 정말 좋겠다 아무렇지도 않게 아주 아픈 밤